This time, I've made sure that I've pressed the go live button. The madness that went through my mind yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, what a sad story. I was speaking for good about 40 minutes non-stop. But we're going to take some of that information from yesterday's live stream and talk about what to expect from Bitcoin. It has one last chance to break this current range. The current range has been a sort of a haven for Mr. Market Maker. People have been stepping in, going long at this point, yet they keep on seeing price come back down, frustrating the retail trader and getting his liquidation points smack to the left, smack to the right, and you better smack that like button as well. Now, if you are new here, the subscribe button can be tenderized, and it's like a bit of a steak. Just look after it, just slap it up. Anyways, moving on. Today, we're going to dive into some news. A good old law has been passed. It's now official. Cryptocurrency in the UK is fully endorsed by the UK government, and it's going to rocket the UK's economy. Now, the UK needs a little bit of a pump, man, because things ain't looking too good, but we're seeing Powell making a nice little move to the upside. But more importantly, we're going to be diving into this discussion regarding Hong Kong going full force with cryptocurrency, yet China ain't really feeling it still. So hopefully we can get, that battle going off. So hopefully it works out for those guys over there in Asia. More importantly, word on the street is that Mr. Powell is still suggesting a couple of more rate hikes, and banks that are capitalized over 100 billion will start to see the impact of it. Now, JP Morgan did say that they have downgraded a few banks on price targets, so that could be reflecting the fact that the cost of business is still going to be high, and that this new refinancing of corporate debt is going to start actually hitting these banks in the longer term. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I am live. I know I'm live because I can see you guys blasting out in the chat. Mad love and respect. Let's break down the charts. We've only got a few moments until the market actually opens. Well, let's say 25 minutes. But I'm going to break it all down for you on what to expect from good old BTC. So, let's get with the flavor. My days yesterday. What an embarrassing thing. Anyways, so what's the deal? Options expiry worked out in those guys' favor. Well, sort of did and it didn't. Didn't really take that much off the table. But Mr. Market Maker has been effectively in a bit of a drawdown. Is that because guys in crypto are holding Bitcoin? Is that all because of that? Well, it all depends on how you see it, because the options market is completely different. The options market doesn't dictate Bitcoin's price. It just means that if there are more guys going puts, which means they favor lower prices, or calls, then it just means that these guys have two different opinions on whether they think price should be higher at a specific point in time or lower at a specific point in time. Okay? But Bitcoin seems to be faring relatively well. But we know Mr. Market Maker ain't going to give you a free ride. Before Bitcoin can go up, it must come down. And before it can go down, it must go up. So, what's hitting the news in cryptocurrency? Just before we get into the charts, check this out. This is what I'm talking about in relation to Hong Kong's crypto Hail Mary is a risky business. The article goes on to dive into the idea that Hong Kong is trying to, encourage traders or guys in cryptocurrency to start playing the game of crypto. And what the article goes on to talk about is it says that regulators have introduced a new licensing regime for cryptocurrency exchanges, which means that everyone in Hong Kong will be able to trade cryptocurrency, but only the bigger coins. So that means XRP, that ain't moving. So that's a stable coin, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, in my opinion. And then, of course, you've got Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what does that mean for the altcoins? So they're trying to control the volatility, all right? So that's something to be aware of. And of course, Hong Kong listed an ETF that was launched in December, but China seems to be the one that's saying, no, we're not having any of that. Well, we'll park that idea because China's got bigger problems, okay? Check this out. Only this morning at 2:30 in the morning, China had announced that their economy or the manufacturing index as such has actually slowed down. Now, this does bring the idea that China needs to bring stimulus it needs to start putting money into the economy. Now, when China starts putting money back into the economy and starts printing, that's good news for the economies around the world, especially the US. Why? Because if China starts to see an economic expansion or they start pumping money into the marketplace, then that means the price of oil is going to start moving up because China's going to be consuming it. And we've already had this problem with OPEC reducing the output of oil, which has had an impact on the price of oil, but it hasn't had the impact that OPEC actually had anticipated. Usually when you're reducing the supply, okay, the demand for it is going to fly prices up, but oil's just been going down. But that's because China's economy slowed down. Now, in the article, it does go on to say that China-exposed mining stocks rose after weak data supported expectations of more stimulus from Beijing to boost demand. So again, once they start pumping money into the economy, that's good news for the world's economy because ultimately everything's made in China. That's the truth. Now, another thing, what I was mentioning earlier on about Powell saying that Wall Street faces higher capital requirements. So the article goes on to talk about the idea that even though inflation may look like it's starting to slow down a little bit, the fact that we're at 5% interest rates with the prospect of 2 more rate hikes, okay, it's going to affect bigger banks. Now, if it affects the banks, that means the banks ain't going to be servicing too well any existing loans that they have amongst themselves. But more importantly, if the bank can't provide financial products to other people because it's just too expensive, then naturally those banks are going to start seeing they're going to declare losses on their earnings. And we're coming to the end of the quarter right now. We're going to start a new quarter, which will bring a lot of volatility. Last time, we had effectively a earnings recession. And that's what was going on in the charts. Everything was just coming down. Banks weren't really doing too well. They were failing certain stress tests. And now there's going to be more regulation on bigger banks when it comes to giving out financial instruments. So we're going to start seeing the impact of higher interest rates hitting banks later on. Okay? Now, let's just go into what's going on in cryptocurrency. Check this bad boy out. Good old Gary, okay, the humanoid egg, has stated, or he's got a lot of beef right now, especially given that Coinbase is starting to step up and challenge what Gary is trying to do. Article goes on to say that Blockchain Association joins Coinbase in pushing back against SEC over crypto crackdown. In my opinion, Coinbase needs to start talking to BlackRock because it's BlackRock that's going to effectively get this new ETF approved, which is pretty much going to piss on Gary's fire about cryptocurrency. That is the face of defeat, ladies and gentlemen, if you can see it bright as day. The sad egg. Now, check this out. There's our good old news for the UK. Happy days if you're from the UK. We know what the flavor is about cryptocurrency. UK's passed it as law right now, offering a rocket boost for the economy. So they're going to be encouraging people to trade, but unfortunately ain't going to be happening with Binance because they just don't trust them. Now, moving on from that, check this out. Wall Street-backed crypto exchange, a sign of lingering interest despite SEC's crackdown. I've said it to you once and I'll say it to you 1,000 times. Cryptocurrency's market cap will go beyond 3 trillion once Wall Street steps in. Because the guys that got cryptocurrency to 3 trillion before Bitcoin made the all-time high of around 67K, those guys ain't around anymore. Now we're just relying on the whale to effectively buy up as much cryptocurrency or Bitcoin so that it can inflate the price of Bitcoin. Now we've got the idea over here that we can see in the unusual volumes tab. Are we seeing the volume coming in for spot? Well, we've got, there you go, a lovely, cute little $16 million worth of Bitcoin picked up on the spot market. And then we've got the futures market smashing it with a good old $239 million of volume coming in at that point. Again, get the spot market to come up with bigger volume than, well, maybe not so much the futures market. I don't think the spot volume will ever succeed the futures volume, but at least give it a good shot. All you can see here, I mean, here we go. Check this out. 1.6 billion on the futures markets on Bitcoin came in on the 30-minute time frame at 20 to 6 in the morning. Ha! Where's the spot? That's why we've got to make sure that if Bitcoin's going to continue with this move to the upside, it's not encouraged by the futures traders because futures traders don't necessarily hold their positions for long. Spot players do. They're holding on. Okay? But futures traders, they're in and they're out. Well, until they get liquidated, and that's the sad truth. Now, check this out. I want to just mention something in the stock market, all right, for some of you guys that are getting involved in stocks and what have you. This company has just announced a late-stage trial of a treatment for a rare type of liver disease, okay? And it's looking kind of positive, okay? Now, if we just go over into the asset itself, where you can see here, Coinbase, that's doing pretty well given its attack in the SEC. But the company is called Genfit, okay? It's a medical biotech company. Now, this is what happens. When they pass or they see success from a product, usually comes into the chart and there's a big bout of volume coming in. Now, the market isn't open yet, but the shares are actually rising or up 24%. Now, liver disease. This is for something in the future. Don't look at the stats right now, okay? It's only got a small market cap, 201 million. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is if you're in the stock market game and you're looking to expand your portfolio, regardless of the environment that we're in, medical stocks will always succeed. They will succeed when the markets are going up. They will succeed when the markets are going down because the business is people do get sick, okay? And as long as people are breathing, these companies effectively will always be in business, okay? So looking at this company, you want to be paying attention to it because they've just announced a good product or a service or something to solve a problem. Later on, we're going to see if that's going to come into impact. And at $4 a share, that's cheap as chips, in my opinion, okay? Now the moment you've all been waiting for, good old BTC, where we at? Bitcoin. This is what I'm talking about, okay? In yesterday's live stream that I had recorded, I want to play you a little bit of an extract from that, okay? Look at this guy. What a clown. Check this out. Come on. So what are we waiting for the market to do? We're waiting for the market to effectively make the same guys that have been going long inside of this zone right here fight the idea that Bitcoin can't go down anymore. Give them another reason to step in one more time to initiate the snapback. That's what we're looking for. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was a live video. I recorded this thing, okay? Thinking I was talking to you all. I gave you the flavor, man. I was going for it, talking about everything inside of this. XO charts, you name it, Bookmap. We wanted to see the VWAP test of the Bookmap. And ladies and gentlemen, they gave us that VWAP test. Happy days. I will never do that again. Never. I'll always make sure that I'm going live. But what I did last night was I actually broke this video down because all of the concepts of the hybrid system came into play in this video. Okay? Now we look at what Bitcoin's doing now. What's the problem with this range? The problem is Bitcoin is fulfilling the idea yet again that market maker is grabbing the interest of traders inside of these zones. Okay? Now, this morning, I gave another projection to the patrons of the channel. Check this out. Because of what happened with Bitcoin, I was expecting Bitcoin to make another run up to the upside. And I go into detail on justifying why I believe Bitcoin was going to go up. Now, we go into the chart itself and we see that Bitcoin did go up. We were expecting the move higher. Why? Because we've got the flavor in the chart already. The behavior is they're running for stops. That's what I spoke about yesterday. Notice how they keep tapping certain zones. This zone right here was the first zone that got hit, right? Second zone, back into it, come down. Third zone, back into it, come down. Fourth zone, back into it, come down. Again, back up. And then they took the whole range to the upside right there before they pulled it back. Now, upon closer inspection, this is what led me to believe about this sort of price action that's coming in. In the future, when you see this sort of range, mark off all of the vector candles that have not been recovered. So you've got to start hunting for vectors. So hypothetically, there's a vector candle zone right there that Bitcoin didn't take, okay? Go into the higher time frames to see if you can see vector candles clearly. all right? We got a violet vector candle all the way up there, right? We go across the chart. Any more vectors? Well, we got a vector candle zone right there. And of course, we had some vectors inside of here. We got a vector candle wick right there. And the idea is that you want to trade towards that. This is what I teach people in the Patreon, okay? I teach people how to recognize this sort of behavior, because every single time I do an update on there, it's like as if I'm in the same point in Bitcoin. They're doing the same thing over and over again. They can't hide what they're doing. You get an idea about the way they're moving price purely from how fast they move from one zone and instantly reverse it. They give you clues where traders' heads are at. And that's what we do over there. We train our minds to effectively get ready to grab these opportunities. All you're doing is trading back towards the last points of where the stops are. And that's the same with the downside and the same with the upside, okay? We've come from a move to the upside in Bitcoin, okay? And now we're consolidating. That consolidation is giving us a clue. It's telling us what they could be doing. We're looking in the chart right now and we can see Bitcoin has come back up and recovered the red vector candle region. And there are some guys up here having a little bit of a problem right now because they're like, I've gone long and I'm looking for price to go higher. Blue vector candle comes into play but goes nowhere, comes back into the recovery of the red vector. That leaves me with a bit of a sticky situation. We've just had news announcements come out suggesting that core price index is pretty much exactly the same thing. Came in at 0.3% in line with expectations. So we didn't really see that much volatility in the marketplace, okay? Going into our dearly beloved Bookmap today, we still do not have a test of the VWAP. And history shows that we do want to see Bitcoin make a test of the VWAP. So now we're trying to gauge the idea that where is the liquidity? Well, unfortunately, I don't really see that much commitment coming into the charts. There's nothing much happening inside of this zone, okay? If we look at yesterday's video, look at that. Look at the liquidity down there. They came for that zone. They were gunning for that zone on the break of the VWAP. They actually finalized at around 30,260 or some 230 or something like that. And we were talking about yesterday. Well, in this live actually. But I'm not really seeing the liquidity right now. It's Friday. Could they actually hold Bitcoin in this range until the weekend? Because that's the best time to really manipulate price. Zooming out, you can see on the Bookmap itself, we've got areas where traders actively sell from. So check this out. You have got this, whoops, where are we at? There we go. You've got an area here where sellers are engaged, all right? And that zone sits between 31,050 and, of course, the 30,900. But liquidity is not present, all right? So that's why I've got my back up a little bit, thinking, hold on a second, Bitcoin. What are you actually preparing for? Well, if the volume's not there, that means the market needs to do something to get it there. It's a meta game, guys. You've got to see the marketplace as a meta game. These candlesticks are the result of people saying yay or nay. I believe Bitcoin's going up. I believe Bitcoin's going down. You've got to stand back and look at the herd and the crowd and say, I've got 1,000 people favoring this point. How do I establish that? Well, look at how price is behaving. I've got 1,000 people favoring this price point. Well, stand back and be like, okay, what could they be doing right now? What does the chart actually give me? Because the problem with trading is you ain't going to know what it's going to do until the candlestick prints. But as you start focusing on the charts, you'll start to see how the candle develops. And that's what the hybrid system is. It helps you understand how the move develops. You see this big pump to the upside on Bitcoin. People ain't seeing that as a pump in the sense where, oh, market makers preparing to go short. They're seeing it as a reason to buy. There's your advert in the chart. This is a big marketing tool to get you to put your money in. And when your money is in and it's at a satisfactory amount and you've got enough people trapped with lots of liquidations in the chart, such as the last 12 hours, everyone's been going mad for Bitcoin. And we've got some liquidations at 30,300 that have yet to be taken. Besides that, we've got just below at 30,550, we've got around $420 million worth of long liquidations. The logic suggests that Bitcoin may not be done with this zone. Now, going into the higher time frame, okay? If Bitcoin can succeed this area here, what I would naturally expect from Bitcoin is the following. a potential stop run to clear this range because there are people here. The guys that are here are effectively saying, missed out on the move. I'll tell you what, let me put a nice little cheeky bad boy order right there, because price action and technical analysis says, now when it breaks that, it's like a range. And we've got ourselves a box right here of price action. So I'm going to place an order up here and hope it gets filled, or I'm going to place an order down here and hope it gets filled. Inside of this area is where market maker's going to conduct his business. The usual principle says that if he's going to run for stops, that means he's going to spike price up into this range, grab enough interest to then try and rip it back down again. But if the interest is overwhelming in this point, market maker ain't going to miss out on an opportunity, which could lead price to move even higher. We've got the idea that liquidations are present in the chart. So look at this. Go to the 7-day chart right now. You can see that there's more liquidity to the downside than there is to the upside, all right? And because this thing takes forever, here we go. I was going to start chatting away then. Besides, well, just below 32,000, we've got $4.3 billion worth of short liquidations at the 31,700 zone. Above 32, we don't really have that much. So this is where I would expect Bitcoin to make a stop run for, okay? Now, the stop run might not happen today. It may happen over the weekend. It may not even happen this week. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking the information from this area right here and assuming that if the guys believe that price is going to go higher, then we're going to see an influx of traders placing orders inside of here. Market maker will match those orders with sell contracts, because when you buy, he sells. And he will then look to get those orders filled, okay? Now, we know what Bitcoin is like. We know we can sometimes get a retrace of the VWAP to bounce away from that to come back up again. No different to what they did yesterday. And of course, straight after the live, when I leave, Bitcoin makes the move. And that's going to be exactly the same case with today. Okay? Now, what I'm looking for, I've just pretty much told you what I'm looking for. I'm going to now show you other assets that could be making the move. First, Ethereum. Now, Ethereum, it's done a good job, but it's still within the psychological ranges, okay? That's a problem for me. Unless Ethereum breaks the psychological high, which sits at 1,918 or 1,868, these two zones right here are going to dictate what Ethereum can do next. If they can break the psychological high, then what they've been doing inside of here is they've been loading up on longs just below the 1,900 zone. If you look, 1,900 right there. Load up the longs, get ready to shift out. Because there are guys right now, same as Bitcoin, trapped here, here, and here. Market maker's going to move it towards this zone to make these same guys think, should I hold? Or am I at a break-even point where I'm going to actually get rid of it because I don't trust the move? It's all psychological. It's not really to do with how the candlesticks are. Like, you've got to look at it in terms of the meta game. These candlesticks only appear when the market is receiving liquidity. They are the end result of commitment. So we're always going to be delayed. We're never going to know fully where it's going to go. But based on the way price moves, you can assume that the probability is more going to be in your favor, that if you believe price is going to go higher, based on the way they've been holding the range, you're going to take a shot at that. You're going to manage your expectations of risk. You're not going to risk too much and say, okay, let's just go to Bitcoin for a second and say, you know what, I'm going to run a long from here and I'm going to put a stop loss right here because I'm practicing good risk management. Quit trading. Don't even bother putting a stop loss so close like that because Bitcoin's too volatile. It will tap it and go. And then you're shaken out of your trade. And then what happens? You're looking at the chart and you were right. And if you're tight, well, your stop loss wasn't so tight, then you would have still seen a profitable move to the upside. That's why you use low leverage. Now, the cost of low leverage means you're putting up more margin, but you're not exposed to too much. And you can allow Bitcoin to move. Let it breathe. You can see how it bloody breathes. This thing's going crazy. Each of these stops are designed to shake out the retail trader because he puts his stops so close. Don't risk more than 1% or 2% of your capital. Make sure you keep it tight, keep your risks tight. They're only advertising for the brokers because the broker's the one that gets paid on your stop loss. That doesn't mean you go long from here, okay, and you set your stop loss at 19,000. That's not the point. The point is you use the current structure in front of you and you say to you, okay then, so if I believe Bitcoin's going to go up from this point, where would my exit be? Or should I say my stop loss? Well, I'm not going to look at it from here because this range right here is a zone that they can actually run for, all right? I'm not interested in on the daily open. I can't put it there because Bitcoin can come and test the daily open. Well, beyond that, what's the 50? Maybe not the 2. I'll tell you what, I would be much safer in believing that if Bitcoin so far has done a good job of holding this zone right here, I'd be more safer believing that this area is a true area of support for the time being and that price is unlikely to come down towards that point in a matter of seconds. So as price may be, if it starts to roll over, I can close half my position and then trade it towards the next zone where my stop was originally placed, okay? You're giving Bitcoin a chance to move. And that's all I'm saying to you guys. Be vigilant with how much you commit in the charts, but also let Bitcoin breathe, all right? Because this guy's asthmatic, bruv, okay? He's having an asthma attack every single second in the chart, all right? And he needs his inhaler. Consolidation periods is when Bitcoin is taking his inhaler. Asthma attack is when it's moving. Give it a chance, all right? Wild analogies right there, ladies and gentlemen. What a guy. Anyways, moving on from that bad boy. Euro climbing up nicely. Vector candle recovery right there. Happy days. Problem. We've got a nice little imbalance zone right there that I'm going to be very cautious of. Going into gold. Nice little flavoursome move to the upside, back into the vector candle recovery we spoke about yesterday. Happy days, getting ready to move higher. We got a liquidity zone right here. But I don't know if it might actually take it today because it is Friday and the legacy markets actually close very soon. What time is it? 1 minute until the market opens, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see the flavour for Dixie right now. Taking a nosedive, going down into the vector candle region right there. Happy days. Going into pound. Let's have a look at pound. Happy days, making a nice little climb to the upside. Slow drift, but it's Friday, so we're going to probably see some retraces across the board. Dollar yen pulling back from that 145 projection, ladies and gentlemen. Look how close we were to that bad boy. Oh, my days. Moving on from that, let's just go and have a look at some altcoins that have been making some flavoursome move. And we've got, whoa. Bitcoin start making the move. Okay, then, come on there. Where's my interest? Have we got any interest coming in on the Bookmap? Limit sales are in the game right now. It's imbalanced to 20%, so they're actively selling, but I'm not seeing the liquidity. This could be an advert coming into play, ladies and gentlemen. Could get a bit of an advert where price starts to move higher, so I've got to be very cautious with this zone right now. Let me just quickly go over to the altcoins and have a look what we got. We got Zen making a bit of a move, and Quantum. Okay, then, so let's have a look at Zen, see if we've got any decent movement. What are you doing, bruv? Okay, here we go. Horizon. All right, so nice big move to the upside. Altcoins, you know what the story is with altcoins, yeah? Every time I see altcoins moving up, I'm expecting retraces to happen, all right? So this is what I'm looking at with Zen. It's making a nice move to the upside. Looking on the higher time frames, I can see that it's coming back and recovering a gangload of vectors coming into a potential sell zone. And in the next 2 hours and 29 minutes, we've got a vector candle on the 8-hour chart, which will be coming to an end. So be careful. As this candle closes, anticipate some retraces on Zen. Moving on from that bad boy, we've got Q2. Okay, let's have a look at that. Quantum USDT. All right. See? Same story. Made the move up to only come back down. All right? Now we're starting to see it roll. Right? So just be careful here. We've got a wick that they could come back into. So just be mindful of that bad boy. But we've got a blue vector candle. If they release beyond the blue vector candle, then there is a high possibility that they could actually roll price over. Okay? Now, back into Bitcoin for a second. Do you remember yesterday when I said to you guys about the 5-minute time frame and you need to see a red vector candle appearing on that time frame with Bitcoin? That's exactly what we saw yesterday, okay? And that was that zone right there on the nose. The vector candle came in. What had happened afterwards? Drop, retrace, continuation down, okay? If you are in longs right now and you're trying to work out whether you should hold Bitcoin, and I'm talking about futures traders, wait for that red vector to happen, okay? If you don't get the red vector candle, price is it's going somewhere, all right? And that's what you've got to take into consideration. Okay? Now, moving on. Just want to quickly go over to USDT. It's trending. So all our points in USDT have been taken. It's going into the higher time frames. Just be very cautious here because USDT is effectively coming back into the same spot where they had accumulated crypto again. So profit taking as such, okay? This could lead profit taking, which could lead price up, all right? So just be careful of this 7% region, 7.1, all right, where you can expect reversals to happen in Bitcoin. How long for is a different story. Ideally, we want to see them going into this, not going into this point, because when you see it's coming down, it means they're buying Bitcoin. If it's going up, it means they're getting rid of it, okay? So you've got to be very careful at this point with USDT, all right? Now, back into Bitcoin, holding out, 5-minute time frame. Do I see my vectors? Problem I've got is I've got effectively one stopping volume candle right there. They've recovered the violet vector candle zone right there. That's a bit of a problem for me. So I've got to be careful here because you have to really assume that if Bitcoin's going to continue higher from this point until price breaks the 5-minute 50 EMA, which is this blue line right here, all right, then the bias is to see higher prices, okay? But if you do get a sharp break at this point, pay attention, because once the break happens, you're looking for a red vector candle. They'll break it, retrace back into it. But luckily for us, we have got 200 EMA as an area of support. So upon the retrace back up, you want to see if they can actually hold this zone, which would sit in line with a vector candle continuation region in this zone right here. So just keep an eye out on the charts. It is Friday and Bitcoin probably won't go anywhere, all right? So just be mindful. It looks like things are favoring higher prices, all right? But like I said to you before, remember, the advert needs to come in. They're going to mark price up, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, again, if you are new to the channel, like button, subscribe button, and you want to learn more about it, check out the Patreon. It's pinned to the top of the chat. You'll be able to join now as you won't be charged double like they did before. And you can join at any time in the month. And I'll be doing a weekly projection on Bitcoin on Saturday as well. So don't miss that bad boy. Other than that, ladies and gents, I know I'm live streaming, so I'm going to say bye to you properly. Mad love and respect. Take care of yourselves. Peace.